Hello everyone, I am here. I'm running a little bit late, so I'm just finishing up the last little details. Gotta put some of these McVitie's on the plate here. Alright. All my McVitie's are completely crushed. But anyway, yes, good to see everybody. I will answer your guys' comments in just a little bit. I can't see them at the moment. A little bit of the Scottish shortbread there. Now time to dump out some of this here water. That's okay. Cool. Nice. Alright. That's good. That's in view. I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't quite know. Oh yeah, it's the train. Okay, so I'm going to put together a train set right now and have that running in the background, so hold on. How am I going to do this? No. Okay. All right. I'm finally ready to sit down. Okay, that's full of boiling water. Let that sit for a little bit to warm up. And then let me get to YouTube to check the comments. Okay, let's see. We have Little Gamer. We have Pink. We have Tyler. Yes, I'm having a very good Sunday, Tyler. Thank you so much. Tyler, to answer your question about Queen Mary, I think because boom cranes just ended up being a lot more powerful in the end. They were just stronger and easier to operate. But I don't know. I'm kind of just taking a best guess at that right now. Let's see. Hello, Let's Build. Happy Sunday to you too. Taylor says, my grandfather is the only member of my family to sail on the Queen Mary when he was a soldier in World War II. Oh, okay. Awesome. Hello, Element. How's it going? Hey, Mike. Hello, Hello, NSSR. Hello, Anne. Let's see. Hello, Octarian. That's okay, NSSR. I'll call you RailFan, but that's okay, RailFan. You don't need to have tea. Just need to hang out and chat. Train Builder says, here for the train again. Perfect. So you've probably also noticed I have some pictures of the Queen Mary kind of rotating up in the top corner. I just kind of felt like, I'm like, well, you know, this needs a bit more decoration. I only have like a limited number of photos on that thing, but if you guys like the idea, then I'll add more photos to it over time. And then there'll be like a photo thing, kind of just little montage going around, so you guys can see photos of the Queen Mary. Okay, time to... that's fine. Do that. So for those who are new, this tea set I'm using is from the original Cunard ships, like Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth, Carmania, Sylvania, ships like that. So it dates back, I think the oldest piece I have is from 1952, the youngest piece I have is from 1967. And it was all used by passengers. And it's all first class china, so it came from the first class areas. And, yeah. Let's see. There we go. Okay. We'll say 415. While I'm waiting for that, I have to add cream to this because I forgot. That's one of the things I was going to do. Okay. I'm a bit lactose intolerant, so I use oat milk. Yeah. I can use cream on occasion, but since I have tea so often, I choose to go with oat milk, but it prevents having a stomach ache and stuff, but I can go without it. I just don't want people to think I'm some kind of like fuss budget or something. All right, back to the live stream. Okay, so let's see. Little Gamer says, would you take photos of the Queen Mary from subscribers? I usually like to choose what photos, but yes, if I thought you had really good photos that would look really nice on here, then yeah, I would take it. But we'll see. If it's from the internet, I likely already have it. But if it's like your personal photos, then that'd be really interesting to see of the Queen Mary. Mike says, random old White Star and Cunard photos would be nice to see. I think I could do that. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sure you'll do better next time. Adam says, fun fact, an HO scale Queen Mary would measure almost 12 feet long. I suspect you won't be adding such a model anytime soon. No, in fact, this isn't even HO scale. This is ON30 scale. So I measured it out. An O scale Queen Mary would be just about 24 feet long, I believe. So that, yeah. So, yeah, bit too big. I don't even think my apartment is 24 feet long. Well, it might be. Let's see. Taylor says, in your last live stream, did I hear that you have an upcoming video on Oceanic? If so, which Oceanic? Yes, I am working on Oceanic, the one launched in 1899. So that is among my favorite ships, and so I kind of wanted to cover that. Mauretania is higher up on the list of my favorite ships, but I'm not quite ready to make a video about Mauretania yet. I still, a lot of people don't know this, but when it comes to the ocean liner community, I'm actually still relatively, sorry, adjusting the microphone. I'm actually still relatively new to the ocean liner community. So I started learning about Queen Mary maybe about 2 years ago, and then, I mean, Titanic, I kind of knew things off and on since, you know, about 2012, but yeah, this past year has been a lot of research into ocean liners. So a lot of people have been into ocean liners for many more years than that. So I still don't know much about very many of them. I know the basics. I know what ocean liners are for. I know what, you know, I know a lot of stuff, and based off of the Queen Mary. So if I were to say that I had any expertise whatsoever, it would be more likely in the original RMS Queen Mary. That would be where most of my knowledge is. I know so much about the Queen Mary. That's why I have a video series on it. But so I can take guesses from things that are on Queen Mary, and if I see stuff on ships like Oceanic, I can kind of guess what this is, what that is, and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? But I don't have much knowledge about the history of those individual vessels. So I'm literally starting from scratch. And I've bought all kinds of ocean liner books and things. Some of the books have been gifted to me. Actually, one book is from Gary Chambers. So another book was actually purchased at a what do you call it? Like a thrift store, and it's about Titanic. I haven't even begun reading that one yet. I have so many books lined up that I have to read. I've currently read a book about Oceanic maybe twice already, and I'm currently in the third time reading it because I have difficulty keeping track of the things I'm learning about these ocean liners sometimes, because there's just so many of them, and I'm learning about a ton of them all at the same time. So, so it is taking a while. I'm hoping to have the Oceanic video out by Friday of this week, but we'll see, because I was supposed to have it out last Friday, but it's taking so long to compile the information. Like, I have all the information. It's just, there's so much of it, and I have to pick and select what stuff will fit in a good sized video. So I'm literally kind of working on that. There's just so much information. And then after that, I have to research to find images that I'm allowed to use of it. So it is taking a while. I'm actually starting to wonder if I'll even have it out this Friday. I'm starting to wonder if I should switch to a different video for Friday, just so that way I have something for Friday. But I'm trying to get Oceanic out because I've been saying for a long time that I've been trying to get Oceanic out. So, you know, I hope I can. I really, really do. Because I just want to, I want to be, frankly, at this point, I want to be over with the video. I want to work on other stuff. I have other videos that are lined up. I have videos like Johan van Oldenbarnevelt, and then after that, I think I have a video on the Spruce Goose that people have been waiting for. So, so many videos lined up. And I'm all learning, starting from the bottom. And of course, with my videos, I go into such detailed research that people who watch my videos, they kind of expect, they expect I'll list my references, they expect I'll have, like, you know, everything nice and tidy, so that way they can kind of check on the research and stuff. So I've had people offer me help, like they're like, oh, just ask me questions, and I'm like, yeah, but I need references. So that's kind of like the issue I face is I have people who want to help, but I need literal references to be able to show the audience. So that's part of it. It's not a big deal. It's just that it's just taking time. That's all. So it's funny because tradition states you don't fill the teacup all the way full. However, that's with like a normal sized teacup. These teacups are half the size of normal. They're tiny. Like they're smaller than the palm of my hand. So when people tell me you can't fill it all the way full, I'm just kind of like, well, how it cools down within seconds? Like, how am I supposed to drink this? So I'm kind of confused about that. Just a little bit more. There we go. So I try to abide by the don't fill it all the way full rule, but because the cup is so tiny, I feel like I have to. Okay, so what do I have here? Well, you probably saw this earlier. On this dessert plate, that's chocolate-covered McVitie's digestives. So they're really good. They're like, I describe them as like American graham crackers with chocolate on it. And then next to that is homemade Scottish shortbread. So I make the Scottish shortbread myself because, frankly, it's just cheaper for me. And then today, instead of sandwiches, I have crumpets, homemade crumpets. So they might look to you Americans like pancakes. They kind of really are, to be honest. But they're not really sweet. They taste more like English muffins. For my American friends, they taste like English muffins. So they can be kind of savory, and you prepare them the way you would prepare toast. So you put butter, and then you can put jam or honey. Today I have butter and honey. Not a lot of honey, just a little bit. Because I don't have jam. I rarely keep jam in my apartment. I just never need it. So yes, so tea, crumpets, Scottish shortbread, and McVitie's. How much more British can you get? Oh, and English breakfast tea, of course. So, yeah, so this is not 100% what would be served on the original Queen Mary, but it's pretty darn close. They would have had also a lot more pastries, like beautiful, beautiful pastries. I can't do that for every tea time. That's just a lot of work. So, but I do have what the English would eat. So let's see here. Oh, Thomas, awesome. You got cucumber and dill for the sandwiches. I kind of wish I had one of those sandwiches today, but I just... Always trying to get fresh dill and cucumber ordered to me is it can be difficult. Sometimes it just arrives rotten. Taylor says, Oceanic 1899 is my second favorite ship. Nice. Yeah, I hope I do really well on that video. Like I said, there's a lot of subscribers now, so everybody's watching to make sure that the videos I produce have the most accurate information in them. So sometimes you run across, like, if you're just... The thing is, like, what I do is, like, really intense research, because what most people would do to make, like, a fast video is they just quickly, like, Wikipedia the information. I know I can't do that. I have to do the research. So I buy books on the subjects and things like that, and I just do weeks and weeks and weeks of research and try to learn the subject as much as I can. So that's what's taking so long. Let's see. Mike says, I feel that I'm almost an expert on Olympic class ships. I mean, I rarely learn anything new about them. I keep saying these things I already know. Would like to learn more about Queen Mary. Well, then you've come to the right channel, because that's Queen Mary is most certainly the number one subject when it comes to ocean liners that I could definitely talk about. And I'm still learning more about it every day. So I have a couple of friends who are really well versed in Queen Mary, and they're always showing me new things and teaching me new things about the ship. But it's amazing. I have so much information now. I even had like a friend that said, it's crazy how just 2 years ago you didn't really know anything about Queen Mary, and now they told me like now you have all this information and you can tell us stuff about it. And I'm like, yeah, I've always been the kind of person where if I'm really interested in a certain subject, I can just absorb it like a sponge. I just absorb all the information. Hello, Jeffrey. How's it going? John says, hi, Alex. How did you acquire your Cunard China pieces? How would one find original, authentic China pieces these days? eBay. Absolutely eBay. So, all this stuff, I acquired most of it separately. It wasn't all one set. Some people are selling a whole set, but it's, in my opinion, buying a whole set all at once is more expensive than just buying the individual pieces sometimes. So what I did was, there's currently a lot of pieces currently on eBay for sale, but what I do is I wait until someone who doesn't really know the worth of the pieces starts selling it, because then they sell it for a really cheap price. So for instance, this little creamer, I've seen it go for $125. That's pretty expensive for this little creamer. I got this creamer as part of a set with the sugar bowl and one of these for $130. So just $5 more and I got all three of these. This teapot alone, I've seen it go for $175. So the fact that I got all three of these for $130 was a big deal. So if you just are patient and you wait and wait, sometimes a really good deal shows up on eBay and you can get it. I never bid for this stuff, so some of these things are on bid. Some of them are just, like, as they say, buy it now. I always go for buy it now. I never do the bidding process. I think the bidding process is a waste of time and money, because you just end up, like, racking up the price of the items more than they should be. So I only buy items that are for buy it now, and if they're cheap. So some of the items, I know these teacups go for $60 with the saucer. $60-65 is a normal price for the teacups, believe it or not. It's because for some reason the teacups are more rare to find than the creamers. So some things like that really are expensive. I've been wanting to replace this teacup over here because this one has a crack in it, making it not so good to use for drinking. I mean, it'll still hold liquid, but I'm afraid of one day the liquid will just seep through the crack and permanently stain it, or worse, you know? So I don't use this one. I would like to replace it. I'm not going to throw it away, obviously. It's still worth a lot of money as a display piece, but I would like to get one that isn't broken, but we'll see. So yeah, I have here an extra teapot. This one has hairline cracks all around the bottom, and the reason why, and I must stress this, everybody, the reason why a lot of these china pieces have hairline cracks is because people don't know that with original china, you must pre-warm it before you pour boiling water in it, because the thermal shock will crack all the pieces. I've seen teacups cracked because of thermal shock. Obviously I have a teapot that's cracked with thermal shock. So so the thing is that, like, real china is actually delicate. You need to be careful. Some people have asked me, Alex, how do you pre-warm the water? Or how do you pre-warm the vessels? Well, first of all, I have all the instructions in the description of this live stream. So every live stream, there's instructions in the description on how to care for your china. So that can go not just for Queen Mary china, but for just china in general. So there's instructions down below for that. But the basics is I start off with, if this, let's say this is clean and empty. Ooh, that's really hot. Ha. Okay, so let's say that's clean and empty. And it's room temperature, whatever temperature that is. I start by first using hot tap water. I rinse it in hot tap water, fill it with hot tap water, let it sit with hot tap water. Meanwhile, I start boiling a little bit of water here in a kettle or something. I pour out half, top it off and fill the rest with boiling water. That's to even out the temperature of the hot tap water and the boiling water to meet in the middle. Then you saw when I started the stream, I poured out all that water and it had new fresh boiling water poured in there. That's for the brewing. So the new fresh boiling water is for the brewing. So that's helpful not just to prevent cracks, but actually better for brewing in the end. Because if this were cold, and let's say you managed not to crack it by filling it with boiling water, your boiling water would quickly lose all its heat as the vessel warmed up. And so it wouldn't be proper for brewing tea if the water was too cool. So that also helps with the brewing process. But yeah, so that's kind of the basics of it. Some other pieces I have here. This is a hot water jug, or some people say it's a large milk pitcher. It could be, but this is rather large. I mean, I think I could make 4 cups of tea with this little creamer. So, and this little creamer is about half the size of this one. So I really don't see how they would ever need this for cream. I think this is a hot water jug, to be honest. Yeah, but there is another one that looks just like this, but it has a lid just like the teapots. That could be a hot water jug too, but I haven't seen one for first class. I think the ones for first class don't have a lid. And then finally, there's this other piece here. Well, not finally, but there's this other piece here. Don't mind the demi-tasse spoons. These are new. I bought these so that way I could use the tea set. But this is a waste dish. It looks a lot like the sugar bowl, but the waste dish is for like putting various like little pieces of trash or garbage or something. You know, if you were eating a cherry or something and you need to spit out the pit, you spit it in the waste dish. So that's what that's for. And then I have all these here. These are scalloped butter pat plates. So it's just like what they sound like. You put like a little pat of butter on each one, and that's how you serve butter. This is all from Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth as well. So, and there's a really big one here for, I guess, really big butter. But yeah, so I acquired it all separately. Let's see. Jeffrey says, would you consider doing a third tea time again, maybe a shorter one during the week? Well, I used to do 3, but you see, I get a lot of advice from my friends on how to run YouTube channels. Like, I have I have one friend who has a really successful YouTube channel. I use all his advice that he can give me. And one of the things he told me is don't do too many live streams throughout the week. You'll actually scare away people by doing too many. And I thought, he's right, actually, because when I was doing 3 of them a week, I was getting less viewers. So, I was considering, instead of doing 3, maybe I'll do one, maybe I'll do the one that's on Wednesday at an earlier time, because some people have been saying, oh, I wish you could do this at an earlier time when I'm actually awake. And, so I've considered it. The only thing is that, like, I'm never usually available early enough in the day. So I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do about it yet. Vivid Racer says, "Hi Alex, if you come to the UK, you should see HMS Victory. She's a wooden battleship in dry dock in Portsmouth Harbour, and she's now a museum. Maybe you could vlog it." Yes, HMS Victory is on my itinerary. So, you can check that off the list. Carl says, "Did you see Historic Travels Queen Mary deck chair?" No, I haven't seen it. Hey Goofy, how's it going? Declan says, "Is the Queen Mary owned by Cunard in any way today?" No. Cunard does not own the Queen Mary in any way. The Queen Mary is 100% owned by the city of Long Beach today. So, yeah. I know that Cunard has some artifacts from the Queen Mary. Not a lot, but just some. But that's about it. I think one of the things is I know they're borrowing the third whistle of the Queen Mary. So the third whistle that is missing from the Queen Mary is actually on the Queen Mary 2 right now. So there's part of me that wonders if Cunard's actually going to give that back when the Queen Mary 2 is eventually retired. I mean, I know they're supposed to. They're borrowing it, right? But you never know. Like, what if Cunard's like, oh, what if Long Beach is not taking good care of the ship and it's just going to end up scrap anyway? You know, like, I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm kind of going off on a tangent. They don't own the Queen Mary. Tyler says, "Alex, what counts as a renaming of a ship like Imperator became Berengaria, but Queen Mary has her name changed all the time when she's in a movie like Poseidon? Does that count as renaming?" No, because it's just, the movie is just fiction. It's just for TV or for the big screen, but it doesn't actually count as an official name change for a ship because there's no paperwork involved in actually changing the ship's name. It's just for the screen. Taylor says, "I'm not an expert at making videos, but I can say you're doing the right thing by taking time to get the information right." Thank you. I put a lot of work into making sure I get the information right. Let's see. Adam says, "What facilities are provided to the Queen Mary via the umbilical connections to the dock?" So one of the umbilical connections, it looks like a straight pipe with some bends in it. That one is the steam. So on the pier, there's a little boiler that heats hot water for the kitchens and the hotel rooms, and so that supplies hot water to the ship with hoses. But it also supplies steam to the ship because some of the kitchens still use steam cooking methods. So that boiler provides hot water to the restaurants and rooms, and it also provides steam to the kitchens. So that already is a couple of umbilicals plus a pipe. There's also a pipe that pumps sewage off the ship into a proper plumbing pipe underground. There's a couple of pipes. No, I think just one. There's one cord, like a really thick, like, cable that supplies electricity. There's several cords or cables, or however you want to call them, that supply fresh water to the ship, like cold, like tap water to the ship. And then there is... Oh, and then there's drainage. So if you know, so the gutters on the tops of the ship and stuff, when those drain water, they actually don't drain into the ocean like they normally would if the ship was in service. They actually drain into the city sewer lines because the ship is considered a building. It's been redesignated as a building in order to prevent maritime codes from forcing changes to the ship. So it's considered a building, and so therefore its rainwater runoff must go into the city sewer line. And so there's a few of those are connected to the ship as well, and that drains the rainwater from the ship. That's why the ship is tilted 2 degrees to the port side, is so that way instead of all the water just running off the sides of the ship like it normally would, it would run off to one side of the ship and go into the city sewer line. So that's what all those as I call them umbilicals are for supplying the ship. And then, of course, everything else is just cables that hold the ship in place. There's spring-loaded cables. A lot of people don't know this, but there's actually spring-loaded cables that hold the ship to the dock. And the spring-loaded cables are towards the midship area, so they're harder to see because they're not at the bow or the stern. They're just at the midship area. But I think there's 4 or 6 of those cables, and they're all, like, spring-loaded or weight-loaded or something. So that way if the ship tries to move away from the dock, it'll just move back. And then there are safety ropes. At least that's what we call them for trains, safety ropes. But for a ship, there are extra mooring lines that are just loose ropes. But those are designed so if the ship does move too far away from the dock, if something were to happen to the spring-loaded cables, the safety ropes will make sure the ship doesn't float too far towards the breakwater. So yes. Jan says, what's with Johan van Oldenbarnevelt, Alex? Johan van Oldenbarnevelt was a ship from the Holland line, and one of my friends actually has a family connection to that ship. So I felt that, oh, I dropped my, oh no. Crisis averted. Okay, so Johan van Oldenbarnevelt is a ship from the Holland line, and it operated several different routes and areas, but one of its biggest, most profitable runs was from Holland to Australia. But during the Indonesian wars of the mid-century of last century, it operated from Indonesia to Holland. And so it's an ocean liner. It's big, but not huge. I wouldn't call it a super liner. And yeah, so that is a ship that has an interesting story. It's really beautiful on the inside. I want to make a mini documentary about it, and so that's one of the ships that's on my list. Let's Build says, what's your favorite fact about Queen Mary? Ooh, that's a... I don't know my favorite fact, but I suppose if I could choose a fact that I think is really interesting... Gosh, like, what do I choose? Which one would it be? Well, there is an interesting fact that that some historians were telling me. So everybody knows that Queen Mary can do like a max speed of 32.84 knots. That's what she got during her speed trials in 1936. So that's the fastest recorded speed we have of Queen Mary. However, at least that's the fastest recorded speed that we have access to. However, during World War II, it was not uncommon for them to be sailing through an area infested with enemy submarines, and the captain of the ship would order the safety valves and safety systems in the boiler rooms to be disengaged, raise the boiler heat up, increase the boiler pressure, and run the ship much faster. According to one of the historians I spoke to, it is documented in the war I don't have the documentation myself, but it is documented in the war that the ship did exceed 38 knots. 38 knots is just about the speed that SS United States was known for achieving, not maximum speed, but really fast. I don't know how to put it. But yes, 38 knots. That's a big deal because for every knot over 29 knots of service speed for the Queen Mary, it took an exorbitantly amount of energy and fuel. And so one of the little stories told was that when she went 38 knots, it was just for a short run. It wasn't for across the entire Atlantic. It was just for a short run through an area that was known to have a lot of submarines at that time. They would just shoot across it at above 38 knots. And one of the engineers had peeked inside one of the oil tanks, the fuel oil tanks that the ship used. Because the ship didn't use coal, it used fuel oil. It was number 6 Bunker C oil. He peeked into the oil tanks, and he could visibly see the oil levels dropping as the ship consumed tons of oil to meet that high speed. And then after they got out of the danger zone... That's not a reference to the song. Danger. Yeah, anyway, so after they got out of the danger zone, they would then re-engage all the safety valves, lower the steam pressure to its normal amount, and then they'd run the ship at its normal fast speed of 32 knots. So, yeah, the ship went really fast. Now, I was originally just going like, that can't be possible. That's not possible. But there are a lot of stories that soldiers or troops or GIs, whoever you want to call them, that were on the ship said, oh yeah, we made it across the ocean in 3 days. Now, that's weird because the Queen Mary was known for taking just about 4 days. But there's a lot of accounts of people saying, oh, it took 3. And so it occurred to me that if there was a certain section of the Atlantic that they were trying to push through as fast as they could, and they went 38 knots or more, it is possible that those GIs were telling the truth. It really took about 3 days to get across the Atlantic on the Queen Mary, especially when she was going faster than her maximum speed. So that is a really interesting fun fact, I think. And I would love to prove it correct if I could get the paperwork. I have people who are working on getting me that proof, but it will take some time. So, Grittenden says, is Queen Mary still famous like she was in the 1960s? She's still very famous, but I think if you ask the average person today, the reason why she's famous is because people think she's haunted. So that's the sad part. Yeah, she's still famous, but unfortunately for another reason. She's more famous for being haunted today than she is, than the kind of fame she had in the 1960s. And even then, if you tell people to name one famous ocean liner from history, most everyone will say Titanic. Now, in the 1960s, if you had asked an average person to say name a famous ocean liner, they were more likely to say Queen Mary back then. Either that or Queen Elizabeth or SS United States or SS France or whatever. They would have most likely said Queen Mary. That would have been the first thing that popped in their head. But now today, number one thing that pops in people's head is Titanic. If Queen Mary pops into their head, the reason why is because it's haunted, not because it's of its history, which is the sad thing. We got to change that. We got to teach people more about the Queen Mary's history and show people why she's so important. There's so many interesting fun facts about the ship that are not really told on YouTube channels. That's the funny thing. That's one of the reasons why I started making Queen Mary videos, was because I noticed that there was so much interesting information in the books and the research that I had that no one was talking about on the internet. And I thought, well, that's weird. Everybody keeps rehashing the same thing. Oh, she was a troop ship. Well, yeah, but look at all the stuff that happened during her years of trooping. That stuff is way more interesting than just waving off and going, oh, she was a troop ship. The the Queen Mary led Operation Bolero. You know, she helped win the first battle at El Alamein. Those are two fun facts that I have never seen anybody mention online. I'm the only person online that has mentioned it. And some people will say that my Rolling Mary video is the only one of its kind on the internet, because no one else has really discussed Queen Mary's tendency to roll in such detail. So, yeah, I thought that was a pretty nice thing. So, lots of fun facts and things. Gabe, no, I haven't seen the Sonic movie. I don't plan to. I honestly don't even have time for movies, to be honest. So, Let's Build says, hey Alex, I'm starting to build the Queen Mary in Minecraft. How long is the Queen Mary? Because I can't find anything on it in meters. I did the math. Does 114 meters sound right? No. 114 meters is very short. Queen Mary was 320 meters? Let me see. So, if we go online and to a calculator that does feet to meters, Queen Mary is 1,019.5 feet long. That is 310.7 meters. So, yeah, so Queen Mary is 310.7 meters long. So Queen Mary is very, very big. I've had like 3 people comment on my channel lately, oh, Queen Mary's not that big. And I'm like, you know, she's actually still larger than most cruise ships today. Sure, there are giant cruise ships out there, like the Oasis class. That's true. But the average cruise ship, Queen Mary is still larger than the average cruise ship. If not by gross tonnage. Well, maybe not by gross tonnage, but if not by long tons, then by length even. You know, and deck height. You know, Queen Mary has 12 decks. A lot of cruise ships have 12 decks. So she matches that. But most cruise ships are around 900 feet long. Queen Mary is 1,019 feet. So Queen Mary is still, in certain ways, either larger than the average cruise ship, or she is just about the same dimensions or even weight by long tons. So that is, I think that's still interesting. And then if you were to count ocean liners today, the original Queen Mary is the second largest ocean liner still in existence. So, of the ones still in existence, the largest is Queen Mary 2, which is currently being used by Cunard. But the Queen Mary is the second one. So, Queen Mary is still a very massive ship, even by today's standards. So that's why I thought it was kind of weird. I was like, oh, these people are commenting this, but, you know, like, they act like it's so tiny. It's really not. Queen Mary is huge. It's just that cruise ships have straight sides and a straight, you know, stern. So it makes it look exorbitantly larger sometimes than Queen Mary. But really, the Queen Mary in certain ways is pretty close to cruise ships today. So, yeah. Thought that was another interesting fact. Hello, Mr. Zantastico. Mr. Zantastico says, hey, Alex, did you know that the Lusitania, Mauretania, and Aquitania are named after the provinces of the Roman Empire? I know that Lusitania and Mauretania are, but is Aquitania a province? I'm not sure. Celebrity Cruises says, nice train in the background. Thank you so much. I call this engine squeaky. For obvious reasons. Russell says, does it matter if a ship has more or less propellers is to its capable highest speed? I don't know what you're asking, but if I were to take a wild guess, so the thing is about propellers is that propellers allow a ship to move, but the quantity of propellers doesn't dictate how fast a ship can go. So, how else can I put that? They only put as many propellers as they need to service the amount of engines they have, or even they put what they need is what I'm trying to say. Like, that's the easiest way I can think of it. They put what they need. So if a ship only needed 2 propellers to go the same speed as Queen Mary, then they only put 2 propellers. If it needs 6 propellers to go the same speed as Queen Mary, for instance, maybe they'll put 6. I'd never heard of a cruise ship that had 6 stern propellers before, but that's just an example. I don't even know of one that has 5. I think 4 propellers is really just the maximum for the stern of a ship. But yes, so yeah, propellers quantity doesn't dictate the amount of engines necessarily, or even the amount of boilers, or even the amount of, speed. It's just whatever they need. KJ says, have you heard about a ghost in the bow of the ship? A workman was allegedly killed there about 20 to 30 years ago. The bow of the Queen Mary? I haven't heard of that. Not in the bow. Anchor Hardware says, where is the QE2 today? Oh, QE2 is in Dubai, currently operating as a very successful hotel and nightlife area. It's doing very well. Let's Build says, I know I'm asking a lot of questions because Google decides to not help me, but does anyone know what the underwater part of the Queen Mary looks like? Yes, just Google image it. I mean... Oh, I guess you said Google decided not to help you. I can't help you if you don't have access to Google, because I don't have this, like, physically the stuff with me to show you. So you'll have to wait till Google gets back working or something and just Google image it. Let's see. Let's see. Declan says, as the Queen Mary ages, do you think it won't be able to float and have to be permanently dry docked or assisted to float? No. As long as you maintain a ship, it will last. That's the interesting thing about, having physical objects, is if you continue to maintain a physical object, it will last. So there doesn't have to be a time limit or an age limit for a ship. Just, keep preserving it. Keep using modern preservation methods to prevent things from rotting away. And, and even if it does rot away, you can replace those parts. So, but there are modern ways of preventing stuff like the hull plates from rotting away. One of those biggest things is occasionally dry docking the ship to reapply a coat of anti-fouling paint. That's a major thing that will help the ship. But no, I don't foresee the ship being incapable of floating in the future. But there's a lot of people that ask me why they don't just put the Queen Mary up on land. They can if she wasn't in the western United States or anywhere near the Ring of Fire, as we call it. She would have to be in a country like the UK, for instance, that doesn't get earthquakes. The reason why is because if you put the Queen Mary on land in an area that is earthquake prone, the earthquakes will eventually lead to maintenance issues and damage to the ship that will eventually make it too costly to keep the ship running. I'm not saying the ship will collapse in an earthquake, although that is possible. But I'm not saying she will. I'm just saying that earthquakes will shake a structure that is made of rivets quite frequently. Those rivets will eventually loosen. That'll create lots of problems. It'll create rainwater leaks. It'll create issues of buckling and plate separation. and cracks in the ceilings and floor tiles, and it'll just create all kinds of issues that'll eventually just be way too expensive to maintain. The Queen Mary is actually much safer from earthquakes in water. And like I said, there are proper preservation methods that will prevent her from totally decaying in the water. First of all, anti-fouling paint, as long as her hull is occasionally dry docked, inspected, cleaned, and repainted, as well as the fact that the Queen Mary currently has what's called a sacrificial cathodic anode system, or SCAS. Sacrificial cathodic anode system. It's where zinc plates underwater are electrified, and they absorb the corrosive feature of the water that would normally degrade the metal near it. So that's as best I can explain it in my own layman's terms. But yeah. Let's see. Anchor says, I've met way too many people who think Titanic was Queen Mary. Oh, I believe it. I have too. Yep, Fox Starline says, is right. Queen Mary is over 1,000 feet. That's very big. That is very big. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up with comments. I'm going to answer some that I think are important for me to answer, but I got to catch up. Celebrity Cruiser says, nice squeaky train. Thanks. It's not an official name for the locomotive. I just nickname it Squeaky. D-Clan says, any talk about the removing of the submarine near the Queen Mary by the city of Long Beach? Currently, there are no plans at the moment for removing the submarine. They are investigating what it would take to remove the submarine. I believe it will cost a couple million, I think, to pull it out of the water, to scrap it. It is quite damaged, just from neglect, frankly. So there is a lot of question out there as to whether or not it's still viable, you know, to be refurbished, because a lot of its artifacts have already been removed from the submarine a long time ago. I think some of them were sold off. I think some of them are actually just on display somewhere else. So a lot of the value inside the submarine is removed, and outside the submarine is pretty decayed. So there's a group that wants to try to restore the submarine and pull it somewhere else, move it somewhere else, I think. But at the moment, the city is currently looking at how they can get rid of it. That's what the city is doing at the moment. So, but there is no official plan yet because they haven't determined one. Celebrity Cruises says, why did most ocean liners have 4 propellers and the Olympic class had 3? Well, at the time of the Olympic class's creation, most ocean liners had 2 propellers, not 4. So it was actually, it was actually kind of a big deal that Olympic class had three propellers. Now, granted, Mauretania and Lusitania had 4 propellers, but they were speed queens, so everybody expected that. Let's see. Let's Build says, what's your favorite thing that Cunard has announced since the retire of the Queen Mary? I don't know. I suppose it would have to be the launching of the Queen Mary 2. I like the Queen Mary 2 a lot, so I guess that would be the thing. Taylor says, I would love to sail on Queen Mary 2, yet I don't think I'll ever get that privilege, so I'm hoping you and your friend will get to take that trip to the UK soon. Yeah, me too. For those of you that don't know, I am planning a trip to the UK by taking the Queen Mary 2 across the Atlantic to get there, the trip is basically from Queen Mary 2 to the UK, investigate and film a lot of historic stuff in the UK and the city of Paris as well, and then sail back on the Queen Mary 2. The reason why I'm choosing Queen Mary 2 isn't just for fun. I mean, that will be fun, believe me. But it's also to film the Queen Mary 2 for future potential videos. So this entire trip I'm planning is for filming for the future of the channel. And so I'm currently saving up for it. But if you guys want to help, if you want to make this dream happen a lot sooner, so you guys will get a lot more videos about stuff that's in the UK, about the Queen Mary 2, you know, everything from history documentaries to reviews to exploration videos and video tours, things like that, of not just Queen Mary 2, but all these historic places on our itinerary in the UK and France. We have all these historic places that we are thinking about going to, you know, old railroads in the UK, ships in the UK, museums, and, you know, even going to Belfast to see the Titanic Museum and the SS Nomadic, all that. We've got this whole itinerary. If you'd like to learn more, in the description of this video is a little paragraph that explains a little bit about it, and then beneath that is a link to the video that describes this whole trip and, you know, and stuff like that. And then there's a link to a GoFundMe page that I created for anybody who wants to help support that and help it happen sooner. It would be really great if I didn't have to wait several years to take this trip. If people want to help towards that and make this dream happen sooner, so I can deliver those videos to you guys a lot sooner, there's a link in the description below for that. And like I said, there's a video about it so you can learn more. And the GoFundMe page also explains it in detail. It even breaks down the expenses and the costs and everything. So be sure to check that out if you want to support that. Let's see. Captain Dees says, I'm going to Southampton next year on the Queen Mary 2. Awesome. Captain D says, do you think the Queen Mary will get scrapped? No. No. No, it's, yeah, it's not. The short answer is no, because it would cost too much to scrap it, believe it or not. It wouldn't earn very much money to scrap it. It would cost a whole lot. Anywhere between 100 to 190 million to scrap it. And then that's also cutting off a very important tourism revenue and tourism visitation. Queen Mary currently accounts for 1/6 of the greater Los Angeles area's tourism, and Queen Mary provides $205 million a year in annual tourism revenue to the county of Los Angeles. So even though the Queen Mary will cost, you know, some estimates are $300 million, some estimates are $500 million, even if the Queen Mary costs $500 million to fix and renovate, it would actually be worth it, because over the course of 3 years, she would more than pay that money back just from the amount of tourism revenue that she brings to the county of Los Angeles. So, yeah, the city of Long Beach knows this. They understand this. That's why they've chosen to refurbish the Queen Mary enough that she will last another 100 years from this point on. So that work is currently underway. Mike says, do you hate when people refer ships to males? It bothers me when they say he or him. Well, there are certain ships that should be properly called he, such as the German ships Crown Prince Wilhelm. It's named after a man, the Crown Prince, and so certain ships should be called he. But I've never heard someone refer to the Queen Mary ship as a he. Time for more tea. Alright. I haven't even begun to eat these, what do you call them? Crumpets. I gotta eat the crumpets. little bit of cream. Oh, whoops. Anchor says, for how much did Long Beach buy Queen Mary? $3.45 million was how much they purchased it for. Let's see. Thomas says, Alex, what would you think of Queen Mary if she had a clipper stern? I don't like clipper sterns that much. I sometimes joke that they kind of, if you look at them from the side, they kind of look like a toilet at the end of the ship. So I actually prefer her with the cruiser stern. I like ships with cruiser sterns. Celebrity Cruises says, people says the Queen Mary 2 is not an actual ocean liner because it looks like a modern cruise ship and it doesn't look nice. People can say what they want, but the fact of the matter is she really is an ocean liner. I almost said cruise ship. She actually is an ocean liner because of the way she was constructed. And, of course, for the use that she's been put to. So people, they might see a cruise ship when they look at her, but her bones and everything, her DNA, everything shouts ocean liner. So, hey, Tyler, thank you so much for the donation. Let's see. Tyler says, I meant to attach a message for Queen Mary 2. Oh, thank you so much. Let's see. Taylor says, Queen Mary's the only reason I want to visit California. I can see that, yeah. Tyler Frederick says, I call Jeremiah O'Brien a he. I would not mind calling the ship a he, him. Yeah, because Jeremiah O'Brien is, it's a male name, so it would make more sense to refer to it as he. Captain D says, did you know that the Queen Mary was named after Mary of Tech? Yes, I did. Edward Cole says 3.45 million. Yes. And ocean liner with a question mark. Yes. An ocean liner is different from a cruise ship. A cruise ship is a ship that is built for going... Basically, a cruise ship is a vessel that is designed for entertainment that usually takes you to a destination and then all the way back to where you started. And yeah, it's built for mild weather and just for fun. Ocean liners are actually more like a Greyhound. They're designed to take you from point A to point B, not necessarily right back to where you started, but they're designed to take you from point A to point B as fast as possible and come rain or sunshine. They are not built for fun. They did have entertainment on them, but not like a cruise ship. They were built just to take you where you need to go. And so ocean liners are much stronger than cruise ships. They're much faster than cruise ships. Their decks, they have extra strong steel decks, extra thick hull plates. Their speed is often sometimes, 50% to 100% faster than a cruise ship. Most cruise ships have a speed of 18 knots. Titanic had a maximum speed of 24. Queen Mary had a maximum speed of 32.84 knots. So ocean liners were designed to get you from point A to point B. They are very utilitarian ships in comparison to cruise ships. So they're very different. Very different. Chris says, if I have it correctly, most, if not all, German ships are named after guys. That makes sense. I can't think of one that isn't. Captain D says, what is your favorite ship from the Cunard line except for Queen Mary 2? My personal favorite is Queen Elizabeth. My favorite ship from the Cunard line is the original Queen Mary. Alright, here's some of these crumpets. They look like upside down pancakes, but they They are very savory in flavor, in a way. Taylor says, do you believe the story on how Queen Mary got her name? If it's true, then that's the funniest way a ship got its name. No, I don't believe the story. The reason why is because Cunard has always insisted that the Queen Mary was always intended to be named the Queen Mary. Even to this day, a recent historian for Cunard, he was part of the Cunard archives. He was interviewed, and in the interview they asked him about that, and he said, no, we've got records that show that Queen Mary was always intended to be named Queen Mary. So yeah, so it seems that what it really was that a newspaper just wanted to print a good story, a story everybody would read. So they made up the story that originally it was going to be named Queen Victoria, but that, you know, because of, you know, King George V, he basically made it so Queen Mary was named after his wife, Queen Mary. So, but that's not an accurate story. According to ex-Cunard officials, they say she was always intended to be named Queen Mary because she was a new ship, and, you know, the consort of the king, Queen Mary, was one of the, you know, newest royals, you know, the most recent, you know, everything is about being new, you know, so that's kind of my backwards way of explaining it. I know, I'm sorry, I've got a scatterbrain sometimes, so, but yes, that's why. Edward Cole says, I would personally consider Queen Mary 2 to be a dual-purpose liner because it has ocean liner blood but is shaped like a cruise ship. You know, I wouldn't even say she's shaped like a cruise ship. I mean, if you really compare the way cruise ships look to Queen Mary 2, they're not shaped very similarly at all. It's just that because it's so tall, you think it looks like a cruise ship. But when you actually examine the details, the much longer bow, the fact that everything is stepped back from the top. A lot of cruise ships have just straight sides, but the Queen Mary 2 is very stepped back as it goes up, because that's what cruise ships need, or that's what ocean liners need, sorry. And then when you look at the stern of the Queen Mary 2, it's also very stepped back. Most cruise ships, as you can tell, have a straight, like, or even slightly angled, but very tall stern. You can't have that with an ocean liner because sometimes waves come up from behind and it can smash into all that stuff. So having a stepped back stern helps to not only break the momentum of that wave, but also helps prevent more damage from happening. As well as the fact that when you look at Queen Mary 2, the ratio of width to length is much different. On a cruise ship, the ratio of width to length might be more like 2 or 3 to what is it? A ratio of 2 or 3 to 10. So if the length was 10, then probably 2/10 or 3/10 of that length is the width. Right, but with the Queen Mary 2, it's got really more of a ratio of 1 to 10. I think it's really more like 1 to 8, but nevertheless, that's kind of beside the point. I was trying to, never mind. but yes, so there is a different ratio. So the reason why is because with ocean liners, you want them to be much slimmer so they can slice through the waves. And so Queen Mary 2 is, for her length, is quite narrow. So while she is tall, she is shaped very differently from cruise ships. Sorry, just trying to scroll back up to where I think I was last answering questions. Celebrity Cruises says, have you watched any Disney movies? In Encanto, there's a scene of Titanic. I don't really watch Disney movies that often. Captain D says, what do you think would happen if the Queen Mary 2 and the Queen Elizabeth 2 collided? What ship do you think would sink? If I had to choose, I think Queen Elizabeth 2... I mean, it's not called Queen Elizabeth 2. Wait. Are you asking about the QE2? Or are you asking about the cruise ship Queen Elizabeth? If you're saying QE2 versus Queen Mary 2, I would say Queen Mary 2 is more likely to stay standing, or floating, if you will. Yeah, I'm going to say that. Edward Cole says, it'd be kind of cool if they named Queen Mary the RMS Queen Victoria because, you know, IA. Yeah. Hey, Shiloh, how's it going? Shiloh, your music is playing right now. Let's build. I don't have a way. I'm sorry. Russell Cooper says, ocean liners are so much more graceful than cruise liners. Yeah. Edward Cole says, they have a cruise ship called Queen Elizabeth? Yes. There is currently one built in launched, I would say, in 2010 by Cunard. So it's one of their newer cruise ships. But yeah, it's a cruise ship named Queen Elizabeth. For a cruise ship, it's pretty nice looking. Not the outside, I mean the inside. I don't think cruise ships look that nice on the outside. But on the inside, Queen Elizabeth looks pretty nice. I see. Captain D says QE2 versus Queen Mary 2. Yeah, I would say Queen Mary 2 has more of a likely chance of surviving the collision. Yep, everybody, if you want a link to the songs that are playing right now, it's in the description of the video. It'll take you to HenryHallFan's channel, where you will see the first video in a series of so far 2 videos that have the whole music track on it. Wow, we're already an hour and 20 minutes into the live stream. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. It feels like it's only been in 45 minutes, you know? This is why I like doing these things, because it's always so fun, you know? Hey, Mike, glad you're back. Some more tea. So it's interesting. A little bit of tea etiquette for you folks. So when you hold a teacup, you pinch the little handle here. So you pinch it with your index finger and your thumb, and then the other fingers go behind your index finger and help support the weight of the stem. So this is the little stem here. So you pinch it and you help support the weight like that. You do not put your pinky out. That's not good. Etiquette for tea. So never put your pinky out. You always tuck your pinky behind the other fingers. Of course, it's all just etiquette, so. Let's see here. some of my Scottish shortbread. Always love that. So I'm thinking about reassembling the trains real quick to have an interesting mix. Just for fun. It'll take a little bit, but I would be off camera for a while. But I don't think it matters. We're already an hour and 23 minutes into the live stream. Live stream will probably end in 45 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Hold on. Okay, yeah. First things first. Where's my... Okay. We gotta reverse this train. Here, I'll move the microphone over here. So we're gonna reverse this train into the back. Uncouple this car. Okay. Now I'm going to run that in reverse. I'll eventually have like live streams and things that show train operations. You know, it'll be like make believe that you know, there's like an actual train operation going. So you might be wondering, what am I doing? Well, I kind of want to create a more prototypical train here. So instead of it just being freight or passenger, it's going to be a combination. Okay, so I'm gonna disconnect some cars here. I think... Which one? This one? I knew this would kind of be a problem, because I know what I want to do, but I don't think you know, I'm just going to pull them off the track. I wouldn't normally do this because, you know, I'm like obsessed with details, but this will take too long to assemble the train the way I want it assembled. So I'd rather just do it myself. And I'll put all these cars back on the track after the live stream. Alright, so... Alright, now I'm going to reverse the engine. Oh, wait. I want to put that away. I realize that I don't actually want to use this engine right now. I want to use the quieter one. So I'm putting the engine away. now I'm going to use the smaller, quieter engine. So there you have it. It's a combination freight and passenger. So that would be more prototypical for a short line railroad. You'd have one passenger car, you might have a box car for some freight, and then you might have a gondola between it that, you know, for other cargo and stuff. And that's much quieter, not so squeaky, because the smaller engine just, it doesn't squeak. Just built better or something, I don't know. Come on. Sometimes when it goes over that other switch over there, it just stops. Okay. Let's Build says, can we get close-up of the trains? It takes me a long time to get the camera angle just right here. So I would, but I don't know. That'll have to wait for like a live stream where I actually am showing the operation of the trains. So yeah. So I did create, so it's weird. I created a second channel, right, for the trains and all the other historic stuff I do, and everything that's more personal and fun is going to be on the second channel, or was going to be on the second channel. But I haven't had time to actually work on videos for the second channel because I'm always working on videos for this channel. So it doesn't make sense to have a second channel when I can't dedicate a lot of time to it. So I think what might work better is if I just post occasionally those videos here on this channel. So updates to this railroad and everything, and then live streams of running the trains. Maybe I should just do that on this channel, because it would just be easier. I wouldn't have to focus so heavily on a second channel. But, yeah. Edward Cole says, is one of those sticks for the lights. The lights? What sticks? What lights? I don't know what you mean. Hey Conrad, how's it going? See you later, Anchor. Celebrity says, I like the sound of trains running over jointed or switch tracks, the clicking and clanking. Me too. I like it too. That's why I also like working with this scale, because this scale is bigger and heavier, so when it goes over the switch tracks, you can really hear it. Every time it goes over that switch track, though, it stops. I gotta clean that switch track. Celebrity Cruises says you should get a bigger train. There's only so much room I have. I can't put everything on here. Yeah. Captain D says, I dare you to eat all your crumpets. I will, but I'm going to take my time. See you later, Celebrity Cruises. Edward Cole says, why it stops on that switch. Because the tracks, as you use them, they get dirty. And the trains run on electricity. The tracks power the model trains. So when the tracks get dirty, the electrical connection isn't so good. The switches tend to get dirtier because I think there's just a lot of like rough areas and parts to it. I think it just wears away faster, so it just gets dirtier faster. So whenever it goes over the switch, it just is more sensitive. But the other thing too is that there's a part of the switch that is not electrified because you've got various currents going in and out, and you can't let them touch or they'll short circuit. So some parts of the switch are not electrified. So when the engine runs over it, it's more likely to stop, or the small engine, that is. When the small engine runs over it, it's more likely to stop because it's rolling over an area of no electricity. So the larger engines don't do that because they have a lot more wheels, and therefore it's more spread out and longer, and it can pick up electricity from either side of the unelectrified area. So that's why the small engine is so small that it's not always big enough to pick up the electricity as it's going over that area. So by cleaning it, you can actually help increase its electrical connectivity, so that way at least it's the best you got. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain. I'm very bad at explaining it, but Celebrity says, actually, I'm staying to the end of the stream. Well, good luck. Who knows when this thing is ending? Taylor Lewis says, I don't remember the history show. I saw it from yet heard of a submarine crew who sent a raiding party ashore to blow up a train in World War II. Oh, I have no idea. Let's see. Crittenden says, if Queen Mary 2 was pushed hard enough, do you think she could beat United States' speed? No. No. The Queen Mary 2 can't even reach the original speed of the Queen Mary, because the Queen Mary is 32.84 knots in fastest recorded speed. Queen Mary 2's fastest recorded speed is about 30.6 knots or something like that. She can't even reach the speed of the original Queen Mary. I don't think it's possible to even get close to the United States' speed with the Queen Mary 2. No, Tyler, I didn't know that. It's pretty cool. Ow. Bit myself. Let's Build says, my grandpa had a really big train set in his basement until he passed last August. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Captain Foxy says, Alex, do you play Minecraft? No, I don't really like Minecraft. Alright, Mike, have a good night. I do have to try to finish these crumpets, though. It'd be a shame to let them go to waste. Oh boy. Oh, Crittenden, you're leaving too? Alright, I'll see you later. Oh, okay, so... So, what's the plan for this week? Let's see, today is Sunday. Tomorrow's my birthday. Tuesday... I don't know what I'll do for Tuesday. I don't think it's going to be a history video. I don't have time. And I'm still working on that Oceanic video, so... I'm trying to have the Oceanic video out by Friday, but it is taking a long time to do, so... I don't know, but... Saturday is... Oh, so Saturday, you guys might really like this. So Saturday is going to be another... another live stream of lost and abandoned places on the Queen Mary. Me and Steve are going to be talking about some of the abandoned areas at the stern of the Queen Mary, including some spaces in the middle of the ship. I can't be too specific because we haven't fully planned it out yet. We still have to talk about it. But yeah, so that's essentially the idea. So on Saturday at 2 p.m., and don't worry, I'll put a post out so you guys will get a notification and you'll be able to click a button that reminds you to show up at that time. But it'll be Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, and it'll be another episode of Lost and Abandoned Places on the Queen Mary. So that'll be really fun for you guys to look forward to. Yeah. The next tea time is going to be this Wednesday. What do you guys think? Should I start it? Should I start it a few hours earlier? Like, what time at Pacific time do you think I should start the Wednesday tea time, if any? Because I usually do 4 p.m. because 4 p.m. here is tea time, but I don't. I mean, I personally feel that the reason why I do it at 4 p.m. is because this is the time that Cunard would do it. If I was on a Cunard ship right now, 4 p.m. is the time that they would do it. I feel like I want to try to follow tradition. So if I do it earlier, I don't know what time that'll be. I've never heard of like a specific time for morning tea. Or do I have any British people in the chat who could tell me like when morning tea is or something? Like, because I've never heard of it. And I'm trying to follow tradition. I don't want to just arbitrarily have a random tea time because I don't know. I'm trying to follow tradition. So let me know, you guys. But there will be a tea time on Wednesday as soon as I figure out what time I should do it. Because like I said, some people are asking me to do it earlier in the day. I at least want to keep Sundays at 4 p.m., you know. But if Wednesdays have to be an earlier time, I'd be available to do it. Let's see. Conrad says, happy birthday, Alex. Oh, thank you. And Celebrity Cruises says happy birthday as well. Thomas says happy birthday. Thank you. Let's Build says happy birthday. Thank you, everybody. Conrad says, what is your favorite cake flavor? My favorite cake flavor is chocolate. Yeah, chocolate, like dark chocolate, like Devil's Food Cake with dark chocolate icing. That's kind of like my favorite. Tyler, thank you so much. Happy birthday to you, Alex. Have a birthday coffee on me. Oh, thank you so much. Let's see. Tyler says, stick to 4 p.m., Alex. It suits you. Conrad says, can tea be as early as 3? No, it can be either as early as 4 p.m. or as late as 5 p.m. You know, you can start it at 5 p.m. if you wanted, but tea time is generally between 4 and 5 is when you should have it. Hello, Tesla. Joe says, is happy birthday. So thank you so much, Joe. Is noon a usual tea time? I don't think so. It'd be nice if it was. I could do a noon tea time if that was a real thing. Tesla says happy birthday. Thank you. Goofy Roll says, how do you feel about getting a circus train? You can get a musical car that plays the Kelly. No. No. That's okay. I prefer realistic stuff. I mean, true circus trains are realistic, but I don't even like circuses. I just don't think that's, no, I wouldn't do that. RailFan says happy birthday. Thank you. Tesla says Heil British Vaterland. British homeland? Let's see. Yeah. Alright, folks. Well, what time is it? Well, I'm not looking for the time, actually. We have 36 viewers. We still have a lot of people watching. Captain Foxy Pirate says, I have a question. How old is RMS Queen Mary? Depends on where you count it, but RMS Queen Mary went into service in 1936. So technically, she is 85 years old, but she was laid down as early as 1930. So if you count the age of the steel, like the keel, is about 91 years old, just about, or 92 years old, just about. So yeah, you could say the ship is 92, or you could say she's 85. It depends on where you consider age. Tesla, that is not appropriate comments to have. If you create any more, I'm gonna have to hide you from the channel. Let's see. Taylor says, setting all legal issues aside, which do you think would be easier to get seaworthy again? Queen Mary or United States? United States would probably be easier to get seaworthy again. Yeah. But easy and cheap are two different things. It would not be cheap at all to get the SS United States. Come on. It would not be cheap at all to get the United States running again. But that's a whole different thing. Tesla, please keep to the subject of the... I don't want people spamming the chat with... Yeah, I'm gonna have to hide you from the channel, Tesla. I can't have you... I don't even know if that's from a movie or something, or if you're just making it up, but I can't have you, like, putting a script in the comments, like... okay, let's see. RailFan says, alright, happy tea time, and also on Wednesday, I'm going to see the steam up of a locomotive. Awesome. What locomotive? Joe says, do you have additional model railroad engines? In this scale, I only have two, so I have the one that's running, which is a little Porter, and then the other one is a Forney style engine. So, yeah, it's... The track needs to be cleaned. Oh, I feel like I clean the track before every live stream. But what it is like all the trains are constantly going round and around and around and around, so it's just getting dirty. So, but let's see. Yeah, so I have 2 engines from ON30 scale, and I have, come on, and I have 5 N scale engines, but I don't use N scale anymore. Yeah, I don't use N scale anymore, so I don't have a way to run them. I just keep them because I like them. But yeah, so just 2 ON30 scale engines. Okay, Tesla Model S. You got what you wanted. You're gonna get banned from the channel. Yeah. I can't even believe, like, someone would come on here and just start saying stuff like that. Like, I'm pretty sure that what it is this person's not serious. They're just trying to get banned. They just like messing around and getting people, like, riled up or whatever. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to put out all these messages and stuff that can be, you know, that people can overreact to. Sorry, the thing keeps trying to stop, but, you know, there's people like that on my channel all the time. I don't understand people like that, you know, like I see it on my channel all the time, is like people will just say like little snippets, like little things that are like trigger words because they expect people to get triggered by them. So, like, I've had people that just, all they comment is, scrap the Queen Mary. And it's not even like a legitimate opinion. They're just saying it because they know it'll make people angry. And I delete those kinds of comments, and I ban people like Tesla, not because I disagree with them. I ban them because all they're trying to do is start an argument. They'll say whatever it takes to make people angry. And I don't like that. You know, that's not, like, there's enough anger and hatred in this world. We don't need to spread that. We're here to have fun. We're here to just to talk about trains and ocean liners and whatever stuff I talk about. So anybody I hide from the channel, or anybody I ban from the channel, or remove their comments, it's just because I'm trying to keep the peace. I'm trying to prevent arguments from, you know, starting up and stuff. So there's already enough of that in this world, you know? Taylor says, if Queen Mary had the original boilers planned for her installed, how much less do you think she would have rolled? I don't know, but my best guess is, like, let's say she was battling like 30-foot swells at sea, right? And let's say, I don't know if this is the accurate, like, sum, but let's say she would be rolling approximately 20 degrees, let's say. Sorry, I need to sneeze. Jeez. But let's say she was rolling about 20 degrees. I don't know if that's even accurate. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but if she had the original boiler she was designed for and she was a little bit heavier, she probably would only be rolling about maybe 15 degrees. Yeah, 15, 16, 17 degrees instead of 20, you know. That's not as, like, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're standing on a ship that is even rolling 2 degrees, you will feel it. 2 degrees doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you're on something that's moving and you can feel 2 degrees, you'll feel it, you know. So the fact that, you know, if she had the original boilers that she was designed for and she was weighted down the way she was designed for, I think that if she was normally rolling 20 degrees, she would instead be rolling 15 instead of 20 degrees. And that would cut a lot of the you know, the fear and the seasickness. In my video about the Rolling Mary, a lot of people, I don't know how they got this, but they thought that the Queen Mary often rolled 52 degrees. And it wasn't. She only did that once. She only rolled 52 degrees once in her life, and that was because she was hit by a 90-foot rogue wave. But I think normally her rolling was really more like 20. I think probably my best guess is the worst rolling she did simply because of a storm was 30 degrees, which is a big deal. It's a pretty big deal. 30 degrees is a lot, but I don't think she ever came close to 52 degrees again. She did get hit by another rogue wave, though, sometime in her life. I want to say the late 50s, early 60s or something. But it wasn't nearly as big. It wasn't like a 90-foot wave. I think it was like a 60-foot wave, which is still huge. That's 6 stories tall, you know, like. But yeah, so, yeah. Let's see. Trying to read everybody's comments. Joe says, have you rode or had an interest in riding the Alaskan Railroad? If that's a modern railroad with like diesel engines and stuff, not really. I'm not a fan of like modern trains. I love stuff that's before the year 1900, and mostly steam engines that have 2 driving axles, maybe 3 driving axles depending on the engine. But generally speaking, I just love the old small stuff with narrow gauge especially. Let's see. Yeah, Conrad, I agree. I don't understand why people don't just share in the fun, you know? Like, just talk. Let's just chat, you know? Like, I don't understand. But some people, what's more fun is just trying to start an argument just to see people get angry and stuff. And I'm just not into it, you know? Like, we all have enough to worry about besides, like... I'm going to have to shake the table every time that goes away. You know, we all have enough to worry about besides getting into an argument with random people, you know, like, it's, you know, it's like people like that need to get a life. Joe says, I found your channel yesterday, enjoyed it, and subscribed. Great videos. Thank you so much, Joe. Goofy Rolls says, nostalgia isn't cheap. They tried starting a dirigible-based sightseeing touring business in Long Beach, but it was totally unprofitable. I think it went out of business. Yeah, I've never heard that Long Beach had a dirigible sightseeing tour business. I remember the first time I ever saw, like, a true dirigible. Like, I've seen blimps... And blimps look like dirigibles, but they're really just giant balloons. But I saw a dirigible, I think, once in my life. I don't remember why it was there, but I think it came to... See, I was living in Southern California at the time. I think it came to the El Toro base, and it landed there, and everybody was like... It was part of, like, an air show or something. I thought that was cool. It was huge, you know. That's the only time I've ever seen a dirigible. That's it. That's it. I don't even know what happened to it. Yeah. Goofy Roll says, by the way, the music is at a perfect level. Oh, good, because I've been adjusting the levels with each live stream. I wasn't sure what was too soft and what was too loud, because if it's too loud, I can get copyright striked for it. But if it's too soft, people can't hear it, so that's good to hear. Oh, RailFan says, hey, Alex, the steam locomotive is DMIR 332. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. Taylor Lewis says, sadly, I never got to ask my grandfather about the one time he was on the Queen Mary. Oh. Yet he told my dad at one point he saw the chaplain up on deck gambling with other soldiers. That's pretty funny. Yeah, there's Edward Cole, really quick, to answer your question. A dirigible is... some people call it a zeppelin, if you've heard that term. It's... other people incorrectly call them blimps. They're not blimps. Dirigibles are not blimps. Dirigibles are... Zeppelins, dirigibles, same thing. They're like really long floating airships. They look like a really long football, but really, really long. And they often carried lots of passengers, like lots of them. There was like cabins and everything inside so you could sleep and everything. The most famous one was the Hindenburg, and there's like old footage from the 1910s, maybe 1930s. And it burned up. And you can hear the reporter say, "Oh, the humanity!" So, that's a famous clip. You've probably seen that. That one was a Zeppelin. Otherwise, we call them dirigibles, but yeah. And a blimp looks like a Zeppelin / dirigible, except it's shorter, and it's really more like a giant balloon. It usually has a small amount of passengers, usually like someone to fly it. It's just got one little cabin, and Goodyear uses it. So like Goodyear has a blimp. They're famous for floating their Goodyear blimps up in the air. So they look like dirigibles, but they're not even the same size as a dirigible. Yeah, Conrad says internal structure is key to definition of dirigible, or size difference like boat versus ship. That can be part of it. So like a Goodyear blimp has a very like a much weaker frame, and a dirigible is much more robust frame. But I would say the biggest difference is size. Like I've never seen a blimp come anywhere close to the size of a dirigible. Like dirigibles are just huge. I think the biggest blimp I've ever seen was maybe half the size of a dirigible, honestly. Yeah. Yeah. When I lived in Orange County, there was this military base, an Air Force base that was long abandoned. Like ever since I was a kid, it was abandoned. But they had these huge hangars that were designed for holding dirigibles. And two hangars, so 2 dirigibles, it would have a capacity for that. It was built for World War II in case they needed them. It was supposed to defend the Southern California coast. I don't think they ever used it for World War II. I mean, they did store airplanes and things on site and stuff like that. They had military housing and everything on site. But they never actually used the dirigibles for World War II from those hangars. But the hangars still exist today. They're not in very good shape, but they're huge. They are absolutely huge. I think they're like 10 stories tall or something like that. Maybe even more. Maybe even 15 stories tall. And they're long. They're like as long as an ocean liner. And inside... they're just massive hollow spaces because they're hangars for dirigibles, and they often use those two hangars even to this day for filming movies. So it's because they're just so huge. You can use them as movie sets. But yeah, I remember seeing those all the time. You could see them from the 55 freeway. They're just huge. Joe says, I saw your video of ocean liners versus cruise ships. Is there a best time to go on an ocean liner, like to avoid rough seas? Oh, yeah. So if you're going Atlantic, because ocean liners used to be all over the world, but today the only ocean liner service is Queen Mary 2, and she goes transatlantic, like her predecessors did. But when it comes to transatlantic, the best time of year to cross is like spring and summer. Once you get to fall and winter, that's when you get the really rough weather. Winter especially is the roughest weather of the entire voyage. But yeah, spring and summer are the better months, which is why they're more expensive. Because everybody wants, everybody who wants to take a transatlantic crossing on Queen Mary 2, they always book spring and summer. So I would like to, like me and my friend, we would like to go either in fall or winter. Rough weather. But partly because it's cheaper, but the other reason too is because the Queen Mary 2 really like battles through that terrible weather. Like it was built for hurricanes, there is some cool footage online of the Queen Mary 2 battling rough weather, and you don't see cruise ships purposefully going into that weather. Usually they try to avoid it. So some of them have been caught up in the weather. Yes, that's another matter altogether. But Queen Mary 2 will power through it, and there's some amazing footage online of it. So my friend really wants to see the Queen Mary in a storm. I'm not so keen on that, but I'm willing to put up with it just because I know that surviving it would be incredible. Look at me, I sound like a true YouTuber. Would be incredible footage for the channel. Oh my gosh, look at me. I already sound like a YouTuber. Yeah, so if I was to survive it, getting that footage of it in a powerful storm would be some incredible footage for the channel. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, hello, Commander. Let's see. Conrad says the two hangars are among the largest freestanding wooden structures in the world. 1,072 feet long by 292 feet wide by 192 feet tall. Wow. You could fit, maybe not the masts, but you could fit the Queen Mary, the original Queen Mary, this one, and the Queen Elizabeth. You could fit either one of those ships from keel to the top of the funnels inside that hangar and still have space to spare. Because the Queen Elizabeth is 1,030 feet long, 118 feet wide, and 181 feet tall from keel to funnel. So she would fit in that hangar with a little bit of room to spare. Wow. That's huge. And I figured it was wood because of the way that it's getting dilapidated. I'm like, steel doesn't look like that when it gets degraded. I was like, I think that's wood. That's crazy. As Karthik says, we know a lot about transatlantic ships, but can you make a video on ships other than routes like Trans-Pacific or Trans-Indian, if that exists? Yes, one of the first ship videos I will be doing is the Johan van Oldenbarnevelt, which ran from different routes, Holland to Indonesia, and also Holland to Australia. So that will be one of the first videos I do that is non-transatlantic. So I don't know when that will be done. First, I have to finish this Oceanic 1899 video. Let's see. Goofy says, most people forget that the Hindenburg had many, many successful transatlantic crossings before it had that final fatal accident. Yep. Fitzcrit says, love your content, and I find your updates on the Queen Mary really helpful and entertaining. But I'd like to ask, what are your thoughts on the SS United States? I don't have very many thoughts. I mean, SS United States needs to be restored for the sake of posterity. I know it'll cost a lot of money. I know that there's a very slim chance of that actually happening. But if it's possible, SS United States should at least be restored to a museum quality, so that way it can at least operate as a museum, or a hotel. It would be nice, but I will admit that's a very slim chance because it would just be so expensive. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, that it may be easier to refurbish the SS United States, but that doesn't mean it's going to be cheaper. Easier in terms of the workload, but expensive in terms of what they have to go through to make it happen. All that being said, I'm not a fan of SS United States. Like, I appreciate it. I understand its history. I respect its history. It's not one of the ships I would consider on my list of favorites. I know it is a favorite of a lot of people. That's for sure. But yeah, that's kind of my basic thoughts on SS United States. Hey, Tim Can. Let's Build says, what is the biggest Cunard ship? In terms of gross register tons, I don't know. But if I had to take a guess without looking at the internet real quick, I would say it's Queen Mary 2, I think. Taylor Lewis says, one of Cunard's cruise ships has suites named after the other Cunard ships. They have models of those ships in the suite. Very nice. S. Karthik says, why all the big ships travel between the Atlantic and not other oceans? It's like there is only one ocean where ships like Normandy and Queen Mary travel. Well, actually, it's a very simple answer. The North Atlantic was a very, very, very busy route. The reason why is because that's where most of the world's passenger travel came from. I mean, how many people were honestly traveling from, I don't know, India to, I don't know, Egypt or something? Like, there really wasn't that many people on the other lines compared to the North Atlantic. The North Atlantic was the most popular. And the reason, part of that reason why is because look at the countries the transatlantic route goes to. The UK and the United States. The UK had the biggest empire. It's currently got a nice big list of what's the word? The word's on the tip of my tongue, but it's a word for the Commonwealth. Yeah, so the UK has a big list of Commonwealth countries, but ultimately the UK had the biggest empire, at one point, and the United States was, one of the world's biggest and wealthiest countries at the time. It still is, but yeah, so that's why transatlantic route was the most popular, because that's where everybody was going. They were traveling to and from the most biggest countries in the world. Conrad says, speaking of non-transatlantic, what do you think of first when it comes to the P&O history? I'm sorry, the name isn't registering in my head. P&O. You'd have to spell out the full name. I'm like that with everything. Like when you abbreviate stuff, I can't. I'm not good at abbreviations. So if you could put the full name, maybe I'll know what that is. Thomas Brooks says, imagine if Queen Mary, Queen Elizabeth, Normandy, and the United States had a race across the Atlantic. I mean, in a way they did. Just happened at a different time, but it wouldn't be really that impressive, because what you'd have is the 4 ships lined up, and the SS United States would just zoom right past all of them. You'd know who's gonna win immediately. Queen Mary. No, I'm just kidding. SS United States would win. Yeah. So, Tim Can says, an underrated ocean liner, in my opinion, would have to be the Monarch of Bermuda. I've never heard of that one before. Yeah, I can't wait to show you guys the video about the Johann von Oldenbarnevelt. That's a beautiful ship. The outside, not so much. The inside, very much. Let's Build says, was there a Trans-Pacific crossing? If so, how many ships were on that route? I mean, in a way, there was a Trans-Pacific crossing, but the route wasn't, like, always the same. Like, there was many popular routes, whereas the transatlantic crossing was mainly the same route. It was the same North Atlantic area. But on the Pacific, there were, like, 3 major lines. There was South Pacific, there was Mid-Pacific, and then North Pacific. So, and they were all going to different countries and different areas. So it really wasn't the same as the North Atlantic transatlantic run. It just wasn't the same. As for how many ships, I don't know. Hundreds, probably. Hundreds. Because there were so many ships going to so many different countries. So it's really hard to say. Even the North Atlantic had dozens upon dozens of ships. I can't even list for you. Like, if you were to select, like, a year in a point in time, I wouldn't be able to tell you how many ships were crossing that year. Like, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. So many ships. It wasn't like there was 4 or 8. It was dozens and dozens and dozens of ships. Element says, can the QE2 sail again? No. She can't. As Karthik says, Queen Mary 2 is among the largest passenger ships in the world. Yep. When Queen Mary 2 was launched in 2004, she was the when she was put in service in 2004. When she was put in service in 2004, she was the largest passenger ship in the world. Hey, Scott, how's it going? You know who isn't here today is Mark. Mark is usually here, and I don't see him. Hope he's okay. Tim Can says, Monarch of Bermuda was an ocean liner that looked a lot like a small Queen Mary, but her propulsion was interesting. She was steam driven. However, instead of turbines, she was powered via electric motors. Oh, so she was a steam electric, like Normandy. As Karthik says, according to you, which is the ugliest liner? No, I'm not answering that. No. I learned my lesson from making a Normandy video that people will not respect your opinion. They will get angry and they will unsubscribe. So I've learned that I can't give you guys that kind of opinion. Let's see. Oh. Celty says, my great-granduncle sailed on the Mauretania when she was a troop ship. Nice. Was that the... I'm guessing that was World War II, right? So that would have been the Mauretania 2. Leonie says, P&O is Pacific and Orient. Ooh. I don't know that line. I can tell it's on the Pacific Ocean, but yeah, I don't know that line. Scott says, love your videos. Thank you so much, Scott. Taylor Lewis says, do you have a favorite ship that was built before the year 1900? Yes. That would be the Campania, RMS Campania. Well, actually, no. If it's before 1900, I'm going to say Oceanic 2, because Oceanic 2 was launched in 1899, so I'm going to say Oceanic 2, but if not Oceanic 2, I'm going to say the Campania. Edward Cole says, steam electric. Yeah, so it's kind of like diesel electric, except instead of having a diesel engine charging up electricity to work an electric motor. Because, all right, let me just explain this real quick. So, with diesel electric, like a lot of ships today, like the Queen Mary 2, for instance, they have a massive diesel engine, huge diesel engine, like twice as big as one that they put on a locomotive today. Huge diesel engine. When it runs, it charges up a dynamo that creates electricity to run the electric motors that turn the propellers. Okay, well, steam electric is similar. Instead of having a diesel engine, you have a steam engine, often steam turbine. And so, for instance, SS Normandy had steam turbines that, when they spun, they generated electricity to power the electric motors that ran the propellers. So that is it. The difference would be that Queen Mary, for instance, was not steam electric. She was just steam power. Her steam turbines directly drove the propeller shaft through a gearbox. Yeah. Let's Build says, what do you like more, the classic 3 or 4 funnels or the newer 1 funnel? The funnel amount doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the ship itself. So, you know, for instance, Oceanic had 1 funnel. I really like Oceanic. You know, I like the original Queen Elizabeth. She had 2 funnels. I like the original Queen Mary. She had 3 funnels. You know, I like RMS Mauretania, the first one. She had 4 funnels. So the amount of funnels really doesn't bother me at all. My choice in ocean liners has nothing to do with the quantity of funnels, really. Tim Can says, do you by any chance have an inboard profile of the RMS Oceanic 2? I've been looking for years for a cutaway to make a model of her, but with no luck. I don't think I have one, but I have a book that has lots of pictures. I'll take a look and see. I don't think it has one in there. As Karthik says, which ship had the most number of propellers and is of no propellers directly proportional to speed? As Karthik, 4 propellers is the maximum for any ship. 4 propellers is the maximum for any ocean liner, I should say. But there are so many ocean liners with 4 propellers, I can't even begin to list them. So it's not like it was uncommon. 4 propellers was the maximum. There was no 5 propeller ocean liner. There was no 6 propeller ocean liner. The maximum was 4 propellers. Yeah. Oh, Celty says he was in the Canadian military during World War I, so it was the original Mauretania. Oh, wow. That's really cool. As Karthik says, do you see any electric ship coming in the future, like a Tesla or something? I don't think so. At least not electric the way you think it is, but no, I don't know. We don't have battery capacity large enough to power a ship going a long distance. You know, I'm going to leave that. I'm so done turning around and shaking this table to make the train move. I just got to clean the track. Fitz, to answer your question, I love SS Rex. SS Bremen's pretty cool looking. SS Europe is pretty cool looking. I'm not a big fan of SS America. Let's Build says, could you do an in-depth video about how steamships work? Sure, I could do that. The Novgorod was wasn't a liner, but she had 6. Yeah, I mean, yeah. There are lots of ships that have 6 propellers. Like, there are military ships that have 6 propellers, but ocean liners, the ocean liner with the most propellers was always 4, and there was so many of them. So, Fitz says there was actually a German superliner concept called America, which was to be over 100,000 gross register tons and have 5 propellers, if I recall correctly. I think I've heard of that concept. S. Karthik says, "What are your views on German liners? Which one do you like? Which one do you like among them?" When it comes to German liners, I like the ones from before 1900. So, I like the Kronprinz Wilhelm, or Wilhelm, Kronprinz Wilhelm, Kaiser Wilhelm der Grosse. Yeah, that's all I can think of. I like those two. But I'm not generally a fan of German liners. But a lot of them do have some very nice features, that's for sure. Even the ones from the 1930s, like Bremen, or that's 1920s, I think. But still, Bremen had some nice features to it. And then there was the Imperator, I think it was. It's a pretty cool looking ship. Tyler Frederick says Turbinia had 9 propellers. Yes. I mean, yeah, that is an interesting thing. So, Turbinia wasn't an ocean liner, nor was she a military vessel. She was an experimental ship. She did have 9 propellers, but they were only driven by 3 shafts. So it was 3 propellers per shaft. So technically they weren't independently operable propellers. They were just, groups of 3. But yeah, Turbinia would probably win the award for ship with the most propellers. 9. Yeah. Sleepy Man Jones says, "If you were on the Titanic and you didn't leave the ship, what would you do?" I don't know. I don't want to answer that. But I almost feel like if I answer that, it would be really disrespectful for the people that died. That's pretty cool, Tim. Let's see. Yeah, Goofy. 9 propellers, but 3 propellers were attached to 1 shaft. So it was groups of 3. So technically they weren't 9 individual propellers. It was technically 3 propellers that had, each propeller had 2 backups that helped provide propulsion. So it was just, yeah, it wasn't really 9 independent propellers. But technically, yes, she did have 9 propellers. As Karthik says, is Turbinia a ship? It's smaller than a tugboat. Technically, yes, Turbinia is a ship. The reason why is because Turbinia was designed for the open ocean, so that's what makes her a ship. But yeah. Sleepy Man Jones says, "Would you ever make a video about MS Estonia?" I try never to say never. So, maybe one day. Element says, "How much of SS Nomadic is still original?" I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But there are plenty of before and after pictures. So you could Google it and look at before and after pictures. Let's Build says, "Has there ever been a ship too fast for its own good? As in, like, it could go so fast the bow splits open or the hull breaks?" I don't think so. I mean, they said that SS United States, when it was going really fast, vibrated pretty badly. It was not at all comfortable. You couldn't sleep through the night. You'd be shaking in your bed. It was so. That's the closest I think it would come to it. But there's no ocean liners that have been literally shaken to huge pieces from going fast. But there are ships like, even the Queen Mary, when she went really fast, the paint would get stripped off the stem of the bow. Of course, that happened with any ship faster than her as well. But yeah, even with the Queen Mary going, 29, 30 knots, it would strip the paint from the front of the bow. Scott says there's a boat from the 1800s called the Deutschland. Awesome. I'll look into it. 1800s, Deutschland. Taylor Lewis says, I feel like the front mast from Nomadic is the biggest thing missing from her today. Did they not build a front mast for SS Nomadic? I guess they didn't, huh? Tim Can says, if I may go off topic for a bit. I would say, Tim, that, it's gotten better because there's so many people out there with new information. I'm learning stuff all the time. There's a nice growth happening with the ocean liner community where everybody's learning new stuff. There's so much new information coming out every day. And, I may not like the digital age that much, but there is one major positive thing about the digital age, which is sharing information. Sharing information is a lot easier now than ever before. As Karthik says, which ship had the most powerful engines? In terms of ocean liners, I think it was SS United States, I believe, in terms of ocean liners. As for all ships in history, I don't know. MSG says, have a wonderful week, Alex. Thank you so much. Let's Build says, was it hard to repaint the Queen Mary when it had the paint stripped off of her? No, actually that made it easier. Because there's something better to grip onto for the paint. No, wasn't hard. Element says, how often is Queen Mary painted? You mean today? Today, geez, she can go 10 years before they repaint her. But when Queen Mary was in service, she would get touch-ups to her paint after every voyage. So every time she came into New York or Southampton, she would get touched up. That doesn't mean a full repainting. It just means touching up. So she would get touched up every time she came into port. And then I think every 6 or 9 months or so, because she got dry docked about every 6 or 9 months. So every 6 or 9 months or so, she would get a full repainting from stem to stern. But yeah, she was top, what they call touched up every single time she came into port. So that way she didn't look too grungy when she was leaving. But as for today, yeah, she can go 10 years before getting a new repaint, which is not a good thing. That means that for, 8 years or 9 years, she doesn't look so good. Aaron says, oh, hi, Alex. Let's say you do every video you can on ocean liners and Disney parks. What would you document next? Well, actually, I've got a lot more videos planned, so I don't think I will ever run out. The reason why is because if you look, I already have videos on the Disneyland Railroad. I have a video on the San Francisco cable cars. I have a video on the Benson Hotel. I have a video coming out on the Spruce Goose. So there's a lot of topics I want to cover that aren't just ocean liners. I think there's a lot of stuff people could appreciate. So, like I said, I'm planning on going to the UK I want to go as soon as I can so I can film a bunch of stuff. I want to film a bunch of historical places and things, not just ships, but historical places and things, and bring that to you guys on this channel. Just some really great stuff. All of it would have to do with like the golden age of travel, or even just that time frame. I don't want to do stuff like the Roman age or anything like that. Like that's not my thing. You know, the ancient history is not my thing. But Western history, I really love that kind of stuff. Technology and architecture between the 18 or 1700s even. As I think latest far back I would go of interest is like 1700s. But yeah, I love stuff like that. So all that stuff would be brought to this channel. So there is no worry about running out of content. There's no worry about running out of Queen Mary content either, because even after I tell her full story of her history, there's still other things to get into. There's still like what it was like to be a passenger, how certain things worked on the ship, how certain things were operated, how the ship was constructed in this area or that area, and other topics like, you know, is this area collapsing or not, or you know, that kind of thing. So there's always like tons of stuff about Queen Mary I can create. So I'm not worried about that. Back when I used to do only Disney parks content, I was worried because there is a limit. There is a limit to what Alex the historian can tell about Disney history. So I didn't reach the limit yet, but with Disneyland Park, I was getting close. There was one time where I had 35 videos out about the history of Disneyland, and I was coming close to the end. I was starting to worry. I was like, what am I going to do after I finish telling the history of Disneyland? You know, so there wasn't much else I wanted to do, but I don't even focus on that as much anymore. So now it's mainly just other history. So yeah, I'm not worried about running out. And with how many ships there were running around the oceans over the last 2 centuries, oh man, there is so much, just so much stuff to talk about. Yeah. So I'm not worried about that. Tim says, I'm going to go ahead and leave and do some stuff, but before I go, would you be interested in some blueprints? It is mainly cutaway profiles, but I have a ton saved of various Cunard ships and other ships. Yeah, I'd love it. Are they digital? You can email them to me. My email's in the description below. You can go down and see it. That'd be great. Let's Build says, was there any major damage done on a voyage on the Queen Mary? Yeah. Not during World War II, though. Yeah, there was. I mean, there was times where, you know, like there's the piano story that I told in one of my videos where the piano was crashing around the lounge and totally destroyed it. There's stories of, you know, a big wave hitting the ship and going into the windows and stuff and, you know, washing out people's rooms and stuff and getting all the stuff wet. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There is. I just can't think of it all at the moment. But eventually it'll be told on my channel. Hello, Kira. As Karthik says, would you want Cunard to make a ship which looks both like ships of 1930 and also like Queen Mary too? That would be a cool concept, like making Queen Mary, but a bit more modern. Funny you say that. I actually drew a picture of that and I posted it to Facebook because a lot of people have asked me, what would an ocean liner look like today if you could make it look classic? And I was like, well, maybe I'll draw a picture of Queen Mary too and make it look more classic. And that's exactly what I did. That's not to say that it's financially viable. I just wanted to see what it would look like if it was done. So that is on Facebook right now, in the Ocean Liners and More by Fox Starline page. So let's see. Kira says, tell me about the third class garden lounge, please. That'll have to wait for a video because I can't do that on a live stream, especially since my live stream is about to end. We've already been on here for well over an hour, 2.5 hours, which is the length of a long movie. Aaron Estrada says, neat. I'm not into ocean liners at all, but I love your vintage tea and your content. Your your Rolling Mary video is a hit. Thank you so much, Aaron. I'm glad. I hope there's something at least for everybody here, you know, even if you just like doing the tea times and just hanging out. That's good enough for me. I love doing these tea times. It's all just for hanging out and having fun. Scott says, I'm back. Well, oh, Scott, we're about to leave. Dwight says, Alex, what's your favorite Disney cruise ship? I don't have a favorite. I don't really like Disney cruise ships, but if I had to pick, it would probably be the Disney Magic. Taylor Lewis says, the piano story makes me think one person would stand next to the door and be like, don't go in there, that piano has got bad attitude. Yeah. Okay, Tim, I'll take a look. Thank you so much in advance. All right, everybody, I'm going to end the live stream. We've been doing this for 2.5 hours. Yeah, so remember, if you want to support my UK trip, the information is in the description of this video below. So if you go down there, you'll see there's a link to a video that describes my UK trip and how you can help donate to it. There's also a link down there as well as to how you can get to the GoFundMe page where you can learn more about my UK trip, and if you want to support that, that will help so I can get that trip done sooner and therefore have all those videos of the UK, the history, the, you know, documentaries, all that stuff, room reviews, food reviews, tours of the historic places in 4K, all that would be done a lot sooner if I had some help. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I gotta go now, but I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.